Hello and welcome to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk, episode 6. We are really excited to bring you guys an amazing show, so let's get started. Welcome back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. And today, the first topic of today, we're going to talk about, of course, the NBA Finals. Tonight is game 4 of the NBA Finals, and the Suns are leading 2-1 currently. So just to start off, Jeremiah, who do you think is going to win this series? Better yet, do you think that the Milwaukee Bucks will tie the series tonight?
In all honesty, for me, I would say Milwaukee does tie tonight when it comes to this whole series. When it came to this series alone, you would think that the Suns would run away from it, depending on how the first 2 games kind of went. You had Booker always on. You had CP3, having excellent games back-to-back and Aiden being involved. But that game 3, it all changed. It went all into a different roundabout because Giannis had help, which was Drew Holiday and also Chris Middleton. When they are together and they kind of have that link, they can be a dangerous team and it can really win a championship for you. But my only problem with them is their consistency. They're not always consistent all the time. So that worries me down the road. I do think that they are going to win today's game. And I do have the whole series going within 7 because I think it's just going to be excellent because I don't think they're going to even stop a wall when it comes to Giannis because they have yet to keep him off the boards, in my opinion.
Brett, do you think this series is going to game 7?
I think also I agree with Jeremiah. I think the Bucks win tonight. I think, I wonder if Giannis is getting a little healthier as time goes on. He was a little banged up going into the series, but he had a huge game, obviously, in game 3. I see him having another huge game tonight. These series, they always seem to go to the home team, and here we are, 2-1. I see them tying it up 2-2. I agree. I think this goes 7. I really do. I got the Bucks in 7.
Okay, that's cool. Greg, do you think that the Suns will create a wall for Giannis? Do you think that's going to happen?
I think they'll try. But it's interesting. The big men in the league these days are just so athletic. I mean, back in the day, I think you had a little better chance of doing that, doubling down and things. But these guys run the floor so well, and they're so dynamic. It's really hard to get away with that anymore. And if his supporting cast steps up, I think that makes it even more challenging. I think they've got a lot on their hands tonight. And I see the Bucks pulling it out. I see Giannis again going off in a big way. Maybe not so many as far as scoring, but I think between rebounding and assists, that's where we're going to see him shine.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now, currently, what we're watching, I think to me the Suns have been had a very good playoff run. But what I'm looking at, as far as the series, when I see Giannis, and Giannis has been playing very well in this series, and I feel that if he just has those other guys like Middleton and Drew Holiday step up and do what they're supposed to do, because this team is very unstoppable when it comes to the paint. And I feel that if the Suns cannot create a wall for him, I think it's going to be a huge, huge problem for this Suns team. And the only person that's able to kind of defend Giannis is Ayton. So we'll definitely see what they're going to do as far as building a wall and making sure that this team is, if they can get them off the boards. And I think they're getting killed. But do you guys think that this series could be, if Giannis is able to win the series, could he be considered one of the best players in this league right now? Rob, what do you think?
I think regardless of what happens in the series, he's certainly should be considered one of the best in the league right now. Just to touch on what Brett said, I mean, his athleticism is far superior than a lot of players in the league. Additionally, I'm just personally glad to see two teams that aren't considered the super team. So it kind of makes it a little more exciting than it has been, in the past couple of years.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. Jeremiah, do you think that if the Suns win, what does this mean for Chris Paul's legacy, and could this Suns team become a dynasty?
When it becomes a dynasty, I see myself comparing the Suns mostly to just a one-year team for right now. They can convince me that they're a dynasty when they can win maybe another one or just maybe 3. To have a dynasty, you have to win more than one. Because right now, I know when it came to those injuries that they did pass within this whole, this whole playoffs when it came to everything. That's no excuse mostly for everything because they're a talented team and they got here. But you also got to look at, the landscape of everything else because we'll see how this team is when it comes to even next year as well. And for Chris Paul, always, like in my list, he's a top 5 point guard to me. Just his leadership, the way that he goes when he brings his game, and then he's just like, that they come like a point guard because, he's just a pure point guard, his IQ and plus, his assisting and just even with his height, he could do so much just around the court. But the Suns itself, I think they're having an excellent year, but we'll see if they can be a dynasty even like within the next season or the year after.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if they will become a dynasty, which I think, like you said, I think they're going to be a 1 year. But just to wrap that up, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram at GameSpace_sports. If you also want to, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel, please tune in at GameSpace Sports Content. And if you want to contact me on LinkedIn, it's just Jasmine Pollock. Heading into the next segment, we're going into a whole different league, the NFL. The NFL season's coming up, so we're really excited about that. So, Rob, I want to start with you. What are your NFL MVP predictions for this upcoming season?
Well, I think you got, the obvious candidates for NFL MVP. You got Mahomes, you got Brady. I think Lamar Jackson's in there, although some sports writers don't believe, that he should be in there as of yet. Aaron Rodgers, if he decides to play, he's always going to be, on that list. But I think some of the dark horses, so to speak, you got, Justin Herbert with the Chargers. He just exploded on the scene last season. And I think he's got the tools around him to put together a big season. Alvin Kamara with the Saints, although Drew Brees isn't there, I think his role is going to just get bigger and bigger. But, as it goes with anything, it's July, so we can talk about, what's going to happen, but everybody's got to stay healthy. So looking forward to it. As a Ravens fan, obviously, they're putting together some nice pieces, and I think Lamar's always got to be in the in the conversation.
I agree. Brett, who are some of your dark horses as far as MVP candidates this season?
I agree, mostly with what Rob said in terms of Mahomes and Brady. I mean, you can't count them out, right? I mean, those guys are perennial all-stars, and those guys always rise to the occasion. Aaron Rodgers, again, if he would decide to play or whatever. Lamar, I think Lamar's got a lot of growing to do in the passing game. Now, if he can become a better drop back passer, a little more accurate, he's in that conversation. He's certainly the most athletic quarterback out there. Let's say him and maybe Kyler Murray. But he's got to prove he can do it with his arm for me to be in that conversation. And he's getting there, but I think with the weapons they've added, that helps his chances. As far as dark horses, one guy who I think has a lot to prove, Dak Prescott. I think that guy, I expect some big things. He's coming off an injury, right? He's coming back. Apparently him and Alex Smith have bonded a little bit. Alex Smith has kind of helped him in his comeback. I anticipate Dak having a big year. The Cowboys obviously have underperformed over the last couple of years, have been a disappointment. Between being injured and them not living up to expectations, I think that guy's got a lot to prove, and I would not be shocked if he comes out and has a stellar year this year.
Yeah, and Dallas has a lot of weapons on that team, so we'll definitely see. For me, I agree. I do have Kyler Murray in mind, of course, Aaron Rodgers, since I am a Packers fan, and also Josh Allen. I mean, what he did, last year, what that Bills team did the whole season, and then making it to the AFC Championship, I really like their chances and that experience that he has with his team, and just that having that run. And definitely, you always want to have Tom Brady and Mahomes in those conversations because they're just, especially Brady, first year won the Super Bowl, then they could be that much better with them now playing 100% together. So I really have those guys in my top 10, but I really, really like Josh Allen and Kyler Murray. I really like them just because they're young and just the team. I like the teams that they have around them. So I definitely do see them. I'll keep my eye out for them. But Jeremiah, for you, out of all those guys, who is the biggest one that has something to prove out of all those guys that I just named?
When it comes to all those guys who has something to prove, I will go back to what Brett said, and actually Dak Prescott. Just like he said, coming off of a big surgery that he just had when it came to his team, that needed him this last season, he was injured, and plus having his max deal. I feel like a lot of pressure is going to be on his back because, he's been debating so many years, these last 2 years, when it came to the Dallas about his contract. How is it going to be with long-term? You don't know where Dak was going to go and everything else. And he showed that he wants to stay here and everything else. And many people be like, okay, he has the money. Is he going to be like another Zeke that, they don't know, this controversy thing did, like, he get the money and then start being lax more. But when it comes to Dak, he got like a huge responsibilities. For my dark horse, when it comes to mostly to be an MVP, I would say it's mostly Kyle Murray, Josh Allen, or just even Justin Herbert, because I know they having a new coach right now, and I know that things can maybe even change when it even comes to their team, because at times, they were right there when it came to winning those games, but they'll always come up short because they never complete at the end. But I feel like we're having a new coach and certain things like that, put them in different places for them to kind of win, I feel right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Justin Herbert, I really loved what he did last year with the Chargers, with what they had, because they were a team that needed some. I think they're a team that needs guidance, a bunch of guidance, because they have a lot of weapons and they have a lot of good pieces on defense. And I feel that for them, they need to find that guidance and find somebody to lead them in the right direction, because they only lost by less than 5 points every game they lost. It was actually a weird stat that they lost, but definitely we're going to see these guys, and I hope that everyone stays healthy. Of course, we want everyone to stay healthy. Heading into the next topic, if you guys still want to follow me on Instagram, it's GameSpace_sports. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's GameSpace Sports content. And if you want to contact me on LinkedIn, it's Jasmine Pollock, and it's just Jasmine Pollock. Now, the final topic of the night, I think this one's also leading back to what we were talking about, dark horse teams in the NFC and AFC. Now, Brett, who do you have? It can be one or two teams. Who is your NFC, AFC dark horse teams? Who do you think?
So I'm going to kind of go back to the MVP conversation, and sounds crazy. I think the Dallas Cowboys could be a bit of a dark horse in the NFC. I mean,
okay.
Again, they've underperformed. Zeke had a bad year. They've got a lot to prove. I wouldn't shock me if they come out and have a good season and go further than people expect. I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. I just have a feeling they're going to make a deeper run than might be expected. AFC, you'd have to go with the San Diego Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert, young guy, but should he come back out and prove that he has learned the position? That's the only thing that gives me pause, with these young guys. The quarterback position is a really tough thing in the NFL, and it seems like it takes years and years of grooming and taking your knocks before you're really able to break through. He had a great season last year, but sometimes these guys have a big year early on. Teams kind of figure out how to defend them, figure out where their weaknesses are, and make it a little bit rougher on them year 2, year 3. We'll see.
Right.
But they would be it'll be on my list. Go back to the MVP conversation if you don't mind. It's kind of interesting. I just thought about that while you're talking to Jeremiah. From a MVP standpoint, there hasn't been a defensive player that's been an MVP for a long time.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
But there's a guy in Washington, man.
Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That cat. Let me tell you, if there's a guy who has a chance, just saying. Again, I hate to back up, but I
can agree with that.
I'm going to throw that out there. I think he's a very interesting candidate potentially.
I agree with that. So leading into that, Rob, do you think, being that Brett said the Washington football team, could they be a dark horse in the NFC?
I certainly think they could be a dark horse in the NFC East. I think that conference obviously is wide open. You do have Dak coming back for the Cowboys, so they should be a little stronger. I think Washington is going to begin to kind of put the turmoil that's been surrounding them for years behind them. You see them making better draft choices, better free agent signings, and rumor has it that Aaron Rodgers might be headed that way. So who knows? But I think the Washington football team, I know I'm not supposed to cheer for those guys 40 miles down south, but they are definitely headed in the right direction. And Chase Young is definitely an exciting player. Just to piggyback on what Brett was saying, they could certainly be a dark horse in the NFC.
I agree with that. For me, I think my number one in the NFC definitely is the Arizona Cardinals. What they acquired in this offseason by adding an AJ Green and adding a JJ Watt to that team, and you already had DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald, then a young Kyler Murray, and then they have a lot of good defensive pieces, and then you add a star player like JJ Watt. That team right there looks very, very scary just by how they're constructed. And I feel that if Kyler Murray can produce, he can throw the ball, and he can be the best that he can be, I think that team could be a very, very dangerous team. And in the NFC West, that division's always competitive, always competitive. Every year, you've always seen that division competitive. But I do think in that division, I do think I have the Arizona Cardinals winning that division. As far as my AFC, I do have LA Chargers, and definitely I do have the Tennessee Titans, just by them adding Julio Jones and having that team around them. But the only question for them is their defense. Can they produce on defense? Can they stop people? Can they have a pass rush? So that's the biggest thing to me for the Tennessee Titans, but I do have them as a dark horse in the AFC. Jeremiah, who are your picks as far as AFC, NFC dark horses?
Well, when it comes to the NFC, I actually like the point that you brought up, because when it came to actually the Arizona Cardinals, first of all, the Cardinals, they build up so many on their team, because they're almost looking like a whole stacked team just from paper. You want to see what they're going to do when they get on the field. Having JJ Watt, as you just said, having Hop, and also having Kyle Murray, it's just like almost like a big three out there, and plus other talented ones that they have on that squad. And they got so close to being in the playoffs this last season, but they in that second half, they hit that down spiral. It was kind of missing those big playmakers and stuff, especially on the defensive side as well. And to be honest with you, my dark horse team, I would say in the NFC, is Washington. Just as Brett said, because he's like reading my mind when it comes to it, like being Chase Young. This guy, when it came to his last season, he had such a dominant season, coming out of college and everything else of Ohio State. This guy, he just was a wrecking ball right off of the blocks each and every time. They had to double team him at many times, and their defense is so suffocating. And you see how they gave the Tampa Bay the run for their money in the first round when it came to that big performance, when they had Heineke. But when they have actually district right now, knowing from former Dolphins of like a Dolphins fan right now, as he used to be on the team right now. I feel like when it comes to their team, they can do excellent things going down the road. And for my AFC team, I'm going with this. I'm going to go with Miami Dolphins. I can be real biased with everything, but at the same time, I can see it like this. Having Tua coming off of a rough year that he just had, but also having a decent year, getting carried by that defense that Miami has when it came to leading the league last year in interceptions from each game, and possibly right now having, tons of weapons when it comes to Parker, when it comes to Waddle coming in the draft and everything else, and also having Fuller that just came from what's called the Texans. And with this team, they can go the distance. It's all about the offense starting right now. I'm hopeful that they can actually pick themselves up a running back in a free agency, and I feel like they can go the distance with this team. To me,
I agree. I really thought because Miami's the third team, but I really thought that the Miami Dolphins were going to get Najee Harris, and my prediction for them was I thought in the draft they were going to get Najee Harris and wide receiver, the Heisman Trophy winner. I really thought they were going to get them, but I was surprised that the Dolphins went Jalen Waddle route because I was really surprised that they didn't get Devontae Smith because I'm a huge Devontae Smith fan. I thought they were going to go for him, but I saw Leon's comment. I don't know if you guys saw that. Brett, are the Ravens going to win the Super Bowl? Are they going to the Super Bowl?
One more guy, and this is going to be a very controversial thing to say, but I think their best chance was a couple years ago, and when they exited in the first round, the Titans actually dominated them. I know they've put some pieces together, but I think that's a bit of a stretch, Leon. Sorry, buddy. I think Lamar's got some growing to do yet. I think they're close, but I don't think they're quite there.
Now, Rob, I know you're a Baltimore fan. Do you agree with Leon? Are they going to the Super Bowl? They're going to win it?
Put me on the spot, huh? I think I do agree with Brett. I do think, Lamar still has to, take that next step as a passer. Looks like they're putting some weapons around him. So I'm kind of hoping, that helps him, makes the team, obviously better. I'm a little concerned still with the edge rushing. But at the same time, I think they're going to be right there. It's just whether they can put it together in the playoffs or not.
I agree. The Baltimore Ravens is a playoff team, definitely. I do think they are a playoff team. It's just the fact, can Lamar take it over the top? I think that's the biggest question for them. And then, like you said, pass rushing. But for Lamar, he is one of the most electrifying players. It's just that arm. It's the arm. So we're definitely see. But that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you guys so much for coming in and having a good chat. Thank you to the guests. Thank you, the audience, for tuning in and enjoying this moment with us. And thank you, Dr. J, for producing this. See you guys next week on episode 7 here at Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk.